Yeah.
So you're using YouTube.
Yeah, I use it down here to record everything down here.
Interesting.
Whatever's clever.
Yeah.
If I took Eric's advice to a T, the easiest route is usually the right one.
I've never used YouTube.
Exactly.
Discovered all the printers you had on the network.
Is that
This Mac just discovered all the printers on
the printers out there?
13 new ones.
Are those actual or are those that fancy term we have one printer that acts as many printers?
Oh, I can't remember that term.
You know, it's one of those things where like I understand the concept, but remembering the terminology always eludes me.
Yeah. God, I want to make that so bad.
All I want
Bright blue.
is there's one
I
nice
gotta change this now.
There's one nice tablet, not necessarily the biggest tablet, doesn't have the smartest, just one that can do some basic things on it, no problem. But then I'd love it if I could run a if I can
Yeah.
find a way to run the
Android?
no. I've got a Google Cloud server. It'd be nice if I could just like if I found the right app where I could just have it broadcast the video, the sound, and the keyboard like over the network, like my little Android device,
Right.
and then like my Android just literally just act as the monitor, the keyboard, the sound aspect of it, and have my actual computer just be something in the cloud.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, if I can run things like that, it's kind of like, you know what? If something happens to my tablet, just get a new one. You know, I go to a website, install the interface for the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, and it's like nothing happened.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
That I mean, it obviously it'd be good to have like a backup server like in-house somewhere. For the most part, but it'd be more like a.
All right, I'm going to get started. I have 432. So the sign's up here, so we'll make our way down. This week we're going to go over Linux distros. Tonight we're going to do a Prezi on different types of Linux distributions. Thursday, when you come to class, I would say we'll just meet here because we can do that here as well in the classroom. And if we have to go somewhere else, I'll let you know. But we'll just plan on meeting here initially. How many's used Linux before, by the way? You've used Linux a little bit? All right, cool. All right. Also want to make sure we are on week 12. Chapter 11, review and quiz. And then next week is 13. It's chapter 14, quiz and review questions. Next week, we're going to go over drive look and forensics lab, where basically we create like a 5 or 10 meg floppy disk, or it's actually a 1.335 floppy disk. Megabyte floppy disk. Yeah, we're great virtual. And some of you have never actually maybe used a floppy disk, maybe. So we use a virtual floppy disk, because most computers don't have floppy disk anymore.
About 8
1.44 megabytes. I said 1.33. It's 1.44 megabytes. Thank you. Exactly.
Oh, it's that little square disc.
Yeah, the little square disc. Exactly. I'll bring some next week, and you guys will have some if you want some. Do I know?
Were there like 3 different sizes?
Well, no, 1.44 megabytes was you got single sided or double sided.
Yeah.
Then the zip disk was popular. That came out as a little, hold more data. I used those over the years. The floppy disk we use here on campus and all my networks and computer classes for years and years and years. I still have a number of computers that still have floppy disk. I have a floppy disk drive external just in case I might need it. But those days are gone because most computers today don't have a floppy disk drive, and most people will never use them again, as far as just starting out with computers anyway.
If you have any use for them, Grant is a little off topic. I have a whole box of unused, just basic floppies like that, just blank ones. I just never got around to using.
I'll take them off your hands for sure.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do it. Yeah.
I still, from when I closed my office, I still have that stuff.
Yeah, bring them in. I'll definitely take them off your hands.
It's not like it's one of those things where I hear computer stuff, and sometimes I get boxes and stuff that never really been used.
Right.
So it sounds like I just didn't know what to do with it. Maybe you'll find use, and obviously just pay it forward.
There you go. Yeah, bring them in. I'll definitely use them. And then we've got after that, after week 13, week 14, network distros. This is on starting your research paper, actually, first session of research paper. And let me see what we have slated for that. Katana. Oh, Katana is actually a good one. Week 14, I'll be giving you a copy of Katana, which is a Windows distro on a USB drive that hundreds and hundreds of security apps and mobile, they call them portable apps, basically, and chock full of them. I'll give you the data for that on a DVD, and you can burn it onto a USB drive. But Katana will be doing that, but I'll be giving it as a handout that night. But let's see what I have. I start reverse last semester, or let me look here. Yeah, I think we decided, because we're going to do both Tuesday, Thursday. So I'll have to figure out, did I tell you guys we're going to do starting middle alphabet to the end, and then
something like that.
You said
Yeah.
middle to Z first night. That would be the 15th, or
yeah. So we'll do the N through Z on week 14, Tuesday, Thursday, and then 15, the final week, we'll do A through M. That's how we'll do it. And your presentation and your research paper is going to be due the night of the presentation. And you'll have a survey to fill out. Everybody will have a survey to fill out of each other's presentations. Do what?
You want me to turn it into where exactly?
What was that?
I researched when I was doing the one on Horizon.
Okay.
Where do I turn it in? Physically?
You turn it in the week that you're presenting. So like this here's week 14. If I keep going, this is just a task screen here. Keep going to week 14. Here's where you submit. 150 points. 75 for your paper, 75 for your research. 75 for your research paper, 75 points for your presentation. Yep. And so week 14 and 15, to answer your question, you'll be uploading in those weeks. There's 14, there's 15. So regardless of where you're presenting, that week is where you'll upload that you're in, if that makes sense.
Week 15, sweet.
Yeah. And I think I left in here too a video of some of the sessions from last time. So I'll leave those in there till I'll replace it with your guys's, and then you'll be there for the next class to look at. All right. So we're going to look at a Prezi tonight on Linux distros. Let's go and get started. And let's go full screen.
Is there a way we can get this on our computers too?
All right. So Linux actually did not begin until 91 with the commencement of a personal project from a Finnish student, Linus Torvalds, to create a new operating system kernel. And since then, the resulting Linux kernel has been marked by constant growth throughout its history. Since its initial release in 91, it's grown from a number of C files under a license prohibiting commercial distribution, meaning open source, to its state in 2009 of over 370 megabytes of source and GNU general public license. By the way, Linus Torvalds retired about 3 years ago at the ripe old age of 47. And so, pretty good, right? Now, creation of Linux, again, Helsinki. He was in Helsinki working on a project for college. And he began this project initially as a terminal emulator which he used to access a large Unix server on the university. He wrote the program specifically for the hardware he was using, an independent operating system, because he wanted to use the functions of his new PC that had a 386 processor.
Wow.
Development was done on Minix using the GNU-C compiler, which is still the main choice for compiling Linux today, although it can be compiled in other compilers besides that. There's a picture of him. He announced in '96 there would be a mascot for Linux, a penguin. It was due to the fact that when they were about to select a mascot, Torvalds did mention he was bitten by a little penguin on a visit to a national zoo and aquarium in Canberra, Australia. Larry Ewing provided the original draft of today's well-known mascot based on that description. The name Tux was suggested by James Hughes as a derivative of Torvalds Unix. So that's the original logo of Linux. Top operating systems in Linux, and these are just touching the surface, but these are the top ones. Ubuntu, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Debian, Driveit, Linux Mint, PC Linux OS, Slackware, Gentoo, and CentOS. Number 10, kind of like Dave Letterman top 10, which I missed that. Anyway, CentOS. By the way, if you're ever a Dave Letterman fan, he's kind of come back on Netflix and do kind of a drive with a comedian type thing, kind of like Jerry Seinfeld did. And so I'm looking forward to that. CentOS is a group of open source contributors and users. Typically, CentOS users are organizations and individuals, do not need strong commercial support. In fact, just so you know, Linux, when it first started out, it's much better, easier, user-friendly today. But it's really for the geeks of the geeks to use Linux, because there was no real major documentation on this is one way to set up a Linux server, this is one way to do this, one way to do that. So it's just individuals that basically could figure stuff out themselves. If they couldn't, they could code it. It's 100% compatible rebuild of Red Hat Linux, which is a very popular web server. In fact, last I read, 79% of the web servers in the world run on Red Hat. So it's still a large portion of the web servers run on Red Hat servers.
It was one of the better DNS servers.
Is that, yep, you are.
We had to use it for aero computing because Windows sucked.
Yeah, and what's nice about it, and you know, those of you who have not used Linux a lot, I've used it a lot over the years to set up servers and things. You can just set it up, unplug the keyboard, mouse, and monitor, and it just runs for years, literally. You don't have to worry about viruses. You don't have an antivirus software on the device. It just runs.
Nice.
Now, one of the reasons why, and students always wonder, why don't you have antivirus on it? Well, the whole nature of hackers community, if you know anything about hacking community, is they attack entities that are
Easy.
that bring down open anything. So any closed community, Microsoft, right? Apple, till a few years ago when they opened everything up. Swift is now opened up for everybody to use. But Microsoft's a big one on the block that are still the #1 target. Android, believe it or not, is becoming a #1 target because they're starting to close some things on Android devices, like in the marketplace, Android Marketplace. If you've noticed, Android Marketplace has been hacked over the number of years, and Android devices as well. And so hackers tend to stay away from total open source systems. The only ones that are out there would be Linux and Mac OS and iOS with Swift, meaning anybody can develop any app they want to. The only thing that's closed is the devices, which they don't really care about that. It's the software they care about. Hackers care about software being open to where they can do whatever they want to with it, rehash the operating system like we'll see tonight, and reinvent it as many times as you want to. And you can't do that with Windows. You can do that with different versions of Mac OS and also with mobile devices as well. Yeah.
There's still a fight going on with Hackintosh.
With what now?
Hackintosh?
You're right. Hackintosh is a fairly large project that I've been involved with it over the years. And yeah, there's some issues going on right now, but I'm sure they'll work it out. But CentOS is a real popular for certification, enterprise-based. So in this one, you would have your DNS server, DHCP server, your web servers could all be put in there, file servers, everything. So that's a desktop. And you'll notice a lot of Linux distros are pretty clean. You generally have either on the upper left or lower left your launch screen, which you'll notice on this one says applications, then places and system. You'll also have the ability to right-click anywhere on any screen you're at, and you generally have a menu of being able to launch a terminal, to do command prompts and things like that. Because over the years, when Linux first started out, it wasn't an easy way to get apps. You literally had to just command prompt them in to go to a certain server to download an app. And then every app might have, say, 10 or 15 needed other apps for that app to run. So you'd have to terminal all of them in. But over the years, they've come up with a pretty cool, most of these have come up with a pretty nice app store for general users to use. Okay, number 9, Gentoo. This is a versatile, fast, completely free. And the reason I say completely free, you'll see some tonight that aren't completely free as far as some apps and support and things like that we'll talk about. Basically, it's geared toward developers and network professionals. Unlike other distros, Gentoo Linux, an advanced package management system called Portage. It's a true port system in a tradition of what's called BSD. Python-based, has a number of advanced features like fine-grained package management, OpenBSD style installs, safe unmerging, system profiles, virtual packages, config file system management, and more. Here's a desktop of Gentoo. Again, very clean, lower left corner on that one. You can also create multiple desktops in Linux easily too. Like you have like 10 desktops you can run different things on, different apps. Slackware is the next one, number 8. Official release of Slackware is by Patrick Volkerding. Advanced Linux operating system designed with twin goals of ease of use and stability of top priorities, including latest popular software at the time. Slackware brings the best of all worlds to the table. It was originally developed by Linus himself in '91. The Unix-like system, Linux operating system, now benefits from millions of users and developers around the world. Slackware Linux provides new and experienced users alike with fully featured system equipped to serve any capacity from desktop workstation to machine room server, web, FTP, email servers ready to go out of the box, wide selection of popular desktop environment, a full range of development tools, editors, current libraries. Also include for users who wish to develop or compile their own software, all free within the package. Here's what it looks like. Again, pretty minimalist for the most part, all these. PC Linux OS, I'll talk about this one before I show you some of the definition. My father-in-law had Windows like a lot of folks do at home. But every time I go visit them, you know, you can imagine, you guys might do this with your family too. If you know anything about computers and people know in your family, what do you do when you're on vacation? You work on computers. So anyway, I go and do antivirus update, you know, malware bites, whatever, just to clean up his drives. Because, you know, you download everything, print everything, install everything, click on every link, like most people, right? A lot of people do. Anyway, I brought with me one summer PC Linux OS. It's a lot like, for people who are not used to Linux, it was a really good jump, an easy jump, because it looks a lot like Windows, basically. Long story short, I installed it on the machine, showed him how to use it, because all he did was search the web, connected his printer or his camera to his computer to dump pictures, print to his printer, email. So I set all the apps and stuff he usually does up so he could use it. Went back a year later, 0 problems. It was awesome.
Nice.
So, and it literally sat there until he had a power surge one time and it just blew the machine. But yeah, it literally, I would remote in every once in a while to do updates for him. But beyond that, I didn't really do much for him at all on that. It just worked.
Yeah.
And that, I guess if I could say 2 words about Linux, it works. It just works. Or 3 words. It just works. PC Linux OS, user-friendly. Again, for most folks coming from Windows world, this was one of the first ones that came out. It did at the time have all the popular graphics cards built into the OS, sound cards, other like printers. When I connected this printer camera, it recognized all of them. It did have also, and it still does, a live CD you can boot from. That's what we'll do Thursday when we come to class. We'll boot up from a live distro or an ISO actually in here. We'll just boot up from an ISO on the Macs. But it has, you know, I think it was on the live distro, something like 875 apps or something once you run it in the environment. Full multimedia playback, so video, sound, music, all that stuff, movies. An intuitive system configuration tool, much like Windows. It was included Synaptic for package management. That's basically for their app store. Came with OpenOffice, which he liked. He used actually over Microsoft Office. OpenOffice was one of the first offshoots of Sun Microsystems for creating an Office-like system that had like a Word-like application, Excel-like application, PowerPoint-like application, Access-like application, and even a drawing application, I believe. But anyway, he used that, and it's a good. And I used to offer it to students years ago when it first came out. And it had a live CD where you could just run it and see if you liked it. If you liked it, you could install it from the live CD onto your machine, or you could just run from the live CD all the time. It was a little slow on a live CD because you're literally running everything within your computer memory. Nothing's being saved to the hard drive. Here is what it looks like. So again, very much windowy-like interface, even down to the taskbar at the bottom. Down here, I don't know if you can see it, it's got the 1, 2, 3, 4 over on the left there by the Firefox icon.
Yeah.
That's different desktops you could click on. Macs have the same deal that you could use on that. Number 6, Linux Mint. From freedom came elegance. From freedom came elegance is a term on that one, the slogan. Linux Mint's an Ubuntu. And Ubuntu, we're now getting to come to modern day Ubuntu, modern day Ubuntu based distro, complete out of the box experience, had all your media codecs like Windows Media, Movie Maker, QuickTime, all of them were in there, DVD playback, Java, other components. It also added a custom desktop and menu that you could customize to your own liking. And it had a web-based installation interface. Linux Mint is compatible with Ubuntu software repos. And this is what it looks like. And again, it started in this one, again, it's Ubuntu build. But you can see on the left under System, Software Management, or Manager and Package Manager. Software Manager, you could actually include entire packages of software under that. Package Manager, you might have, like I talked about earlier, some apps might require 4 or 5 other apps before it can run, and you could do it that way. So you'll notice that Firefox is in there, Thunderbird, which we've used, text editor, terminal, pretty clean desktop. And on the desktop on the upper left, you'll see where the button that says Install Linux Mint 8. If you clicked on, this is a live distro screenshot here from a DVD. If you clicked on that, it would actually prompt how to install it and help you partition your drive and all the good stuff for you. Number 5, Driveit. This is one of the first ones I really used for years. It was launched in '98. And again, one of the first distros I used it pretty heavily. It was very powerful operating system. It demanded a strong technical knowledge of command line, which that's where I learned command line from, was using Driveit. But then it came out with a Driveit Soft, which was a kind of an app store, you would say, for Linux, and had hundreds and hundreds of configuration utilities that made it easier to configure things. And then in 2005, it merged with Driveit SA, and its headquarters in Paris, France. The company's flagship, Driveit Linux, offers all its power and stability of Linux to both individual and professionals. And it's a very popular one for laptops and desktops back in the day, around that time, 98, 99. That's what the desktop looks like.
That thing came out when I was 3.
Do I know?
That Linux, that came out when I was only 3 years old.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
It makes me feel like a
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Or it should make it feel old.
What?
Or it should make it feel old. How much software is still used today is
Yeah.
Linux.
And it's still around, too. Still updated.
I need to start using Linux. Get used to it.
All right, next one, Debian. Debian is a really popular one as well. It came in with, its cause was to create a free operating system, which all these are, that's mainly their cause, under the GNU licensing, which again is open source, or simply Debian. Debian system currently uses a Linux kernel, completely free software by Linus. Of course, the thing people wanted is an application software, programs to help them get what they want done, from editing documents, running a business, playing games, to writing more software. Debian comes with 2,000 packages, 20,000 packages that came bundled with it, all of it free. It's a bit like a tower. At the base is a kernel. At the top, all the basic tools. Next, all the software you can run on the computer. At the top of the tower is Debian, carefully organized and fitting everything to work together. And here's a screenshot of Debian. You'll notice here it starts breaking down categories of apps. So we got accessories, education, games. And one of my favorite games of all times is Galaga. And pretty much every Linux distro had Galaga in it. If you've never played Galaga before, definitely, if you see a Galaga machine or you see one online, play it. It's an awesome game.
Never played it.
Graphics was another one that started coming in. And, you know, you guys are familiar in the Windows world with Adobe products, but Scribus, Scribus, was a real popular desktop, kind of a newsletter, newspaper layout, magazine layout, management system that I used for years. GIMP, G-I-M-P,
Still use
much like Photoshop, but totally free once you learn all the bells and whistles how to use it. And then you could do Office, which on this one was probably Open Office, I'm guessing. And then programming, all the programming languages, C, and then the different ones that came about after C to build applications, science, sound and video, system tools, and then Linux was actually the first distros to come out with handicap access or universal access to all of its systems. Meaning when you clicked on that, you could actually easily zoom in on things, caption text, audio, text to audio, audio to text, vice versa. One of the first systems to actually do that. Number 3, OpenSUSE. This is a project. Now, when I first moved to Rockford, I worked with Novell exclusively at Rockford Christian. I was a computer science director at the school there. And we had Novell, which is a server operating system, no longer around anymore, but it was very popular back in the 90s and early 2000s. And that's what I used, and that's the operating system for server operating system I was certified in and used. Anyway, they couldn't compete with Microsoft, but anyway, what they did was they merged and started supporting the open source OpenSUSE. Okay, and what they would do is they would come in and install it on computers and businesses, and the business would pay them to do it, and then pay them to set it up, train people, all that good stuff. So the software is free, but what you paid for to still do is paid for the service, basically. 3 main goals for OpenSUSE: make OpenSUSE the easiest Linux for anyone to obtain and most widely used, leverage open source collaboration to make OpenSUSE the world's most usable Linux distro and desktop environment and new experience for Linux users, and dramatically simplify an open development and packaging process to make OpenSUSE the platform of choice for Linux developers and software vendors. And basically, they've created a really nice app store as well. They do have basically totally free branch you can download, and they won't bug you. Or you can do a commercial branch where they would, want to come in and set up time to meet with you and set it up in your business, get it started running. So that's what it looks like desktop wise. Again, a good system. Novell was a good company. I think they were very technical and knew what they were doing. They just didn't have the marketing background and the money that Microsoft did, and
No,
they marketed themselves out of the system.
IPX, SPX was very slow.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, there at the end, they opened everything up to work with Microsoft, but it was too late for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I know. We tried that integration.
Yep.
Windows 9.
We opened it up and it worked great, but it was too late. So IP protocol was opened up, but it was a little too late for them. Okay, number 2, Fedora. It's a good distro as well. It's based off of Red Hat, which I mentioned earlier is the #1 web server in the world still. And it's led by and these are terms actually from their website, meritocracy, which is a set of basically, instead of having a dictatorship, everybody is kind of on the same level, to put it in layman's terms. And the goal of Fedora project is to work with the Linux community to build a complete general purpose operating system exclusive of open source software, exclusively from open source software. Development done in public forum. Project will produce time-based releases every 2 or 3 years with public release schedule. The Red Hat engineering team would check off on everything before it's released. And by using this more open process, it says we hope to provide an operating system more in line with the ideals of free software, more appealing to open source community. So that's what it looks like. Again, pretty clean, pretty straightforward. And #1, Ubuntu, still #1 today. Ubuntu is the #1 Linux distro of choice for consumers. It's free as the rest of them are. They do have both a community and professional support. So you get 2 branches, totally free, download it, do what you want. If you want professional support, you can pay for that and get help on how to install it and how to use it and stuff. And they'll even build custom apps for you and stuff. The Ubuntu community is built on ideas enshrined by the Ubuntu Manifesto. The software should be available free of charge. The software tools should be usable by people in their local language. And despite any disabilities, people should have the freedom to customize and alter their software in whatever they see fit. Ubuntu is an ancient African word meaning humanity to others. And the Ubuntu distribution brings the spirit of Ubuntu to the software world. And I always tell students when I'm on this slide, if you go to like Barnes this weekend or you're out and about, they have on their magazine rack a whole bunch of Linux magazines. There's one linux.org magazine you want to pick up, usually about $12. But inside the magazine is usually 3 or 4 Linux distributions that you can test out. You don't have to download them yourself, and they're already, packaged in the magazine for you. And so I tell students, if you want to try some out, that would be my recommendation. If you don't have a DVD drive or a DVD drive at home to do it, you can go to linux.org and look at all the different ones, one of them being Ubuntu, and download it to your desktop as an ISO. And then you can run it through virtual PC is what I recommend. And virtual PC is totally free to use for PC users. Mac, VirtualBox, you can download VirtualBox and connect to ISO, Ubuntu ISO, and run it and test it. So you don't have to have a DVD drive to play with ISO or play with the Linux distro. Here's what the desktop here, and I have it screenshotted on a searching for media. This is actually media that you could actually purchase. They have an actual kind of like an iTunes store now in Ubuntu where you can purchase, movies, music, stuff like that. And what's cool about it is a lot of these. I come from a musician background. All my family's musicians. I still play a little bit. But anyway, all the music on here, a lot of it is artists that are just putting their music out there for people to listen to. And if they want to buy it, there you go, make a little money doing it. So kind of cool. And so Ubuntu is actually one of the first, not the first, OS anyway, to have it built into their operating system to kind of promote and support artists that maybe would never have their music on iTunes. But they're good music too, different types of music. So that is a Linux run through. On Thursday when we come to class, what we're going to do again is we'll meet in here and we will do a Linux distro. If that classroom's open, by the way, we'll probably move over there. But if not, we'll stay in here. We can do it in here. It's no problem. So you guys like Mac? How many's never worked on a Mac before?
This is like
You never been on a Mac? Huh?
Barely.
Barely?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We might be in here just to have fun anyway. Yeah. So that'd be kind of cool. All right, so Linux again is something I recommend you at least playing with, and you'll be playing with it this week some more on Thursday. And then what we're going to do is just have you do a live distro. You get to take it home, by the way, after you're done. I'll have it on a DVD, but I'll also have it on the Mac desktops when you come in. That way, because these Macs will have do not have DVD drives either. And so if you notice on nothing there on the right or left side of it. So anyway, just like a lot of your computers at home. So I'll download the distro to the desktop when you guys come in here. Most distro sizes are anywhere from 3 to 4 gigs in size, just enough to fill it'll fill up a whole DVD, distro or disk. And then a lot of them come with like Ubuntu, like the one we're going to use on Thursday, a live distro platform to where you can test it. And that's what I'll have you guys doing here. We'll test it and play with it. We'll use VirtualBox and ISO. Questions on Linux? Anybody have one that you've played with lately, or one of your favorite maybe that you played with in the past? Yeah. Oh yeah, Raspberry Pi. Do you use the Raspberry Pi OS? You do? Raspbian?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's the only thing I've tried on it.
Do what?
That's the only thing I've tried on it. I've tried Linux Mint on my desktop, but I can never get my
Yeah, Raspbian is awesome for the Raspberry Pi. I've got one I'm actually playing with now. It's a Raspberry Pi touchscreen.
Oh, I got
And
one.
Yeah, and I'm playing with a distro right now. The way I want it to work is when it boots up, it goes to a web page, one web page only, and they can interact. Folks can interact with it. I put on all the walls around here or something, like a kiosk, I think.
Yeah, I was looking to try do a VPN with a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, like SSH or VPN. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think the new version of Raspbian actually has a VNC viewer on it, but it's not real hard to install a VNC server. Yeah, pretty easy to do. Cool. Yeah, I forgot about that. Raspbian with Raspberry Pi. Has anybody not heard of a Raspberry Pi before? Raise your hand if you've never heard of Raspberry Pi. I'll just show it to you real quick. We've got time. We'll spend a minute looking at it. It's pretty cool. It started out as a project. Computer guys just wanted to help folks in a third world country to have computers. So they came out with this $30 computer, the Raspberry Pi Foundation. Let's go back to the Raspberry Pi website. Let's go there. All right, so here's the Raspberry Pi. The newest model is this B model. And you'll notice here it's got a HDMI port, sound. These are pins that you can, like the one I have for my touchscreen. It's a ribbon cable that plugs here and also on the touchscreen. And then here's GPIO pins that you can do a whole bunch of different. I've got probably 4 or 5 different HAT compatible devices, like LED devices, robotic devices that can connect to this. And then these devices over here, you got usually about 4 USB ports. And then this here is an Ethernet port, built-in Wi-Fi. And then here, right here where I'm hovering over here, this is where it's power. You plug in a mini USB to a 5 amp plug. It tells you exactly what to buy. You have to buy that separately. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It started and it's still stuck around that price tag. I'll just click on the price tag here on the Raspberry Pi site. You can buy it all different places you can buy it at. Doesn't really matter. So $35. You can get them on Amazon as well. And usually when you buy them, like if you buy them on this site, it'll tell you other things you probably need to think about getting. Let's see here. And sometimes they don't. Yeah, this one doesn't give it, but you would need, this just comes with the Pi itself, does not come with the power supply. So power supply is totally separate. And I'll show you a product we used over the summer with the Raspberry Pi, which is kind of cool. It's a group out of the UK. They use Raspberry Pi to help students understand computers and building computers. So had about 35 students over the summer, 3 different workshops. And these are the actual computers here. These little things here that are clicked on here. Let's see if I can pause this. Go to one of the pictures here. So these guys here, right? These are homeschooled students. They're like 12 and 13. They'd had like tablets up to this point, and their dad brought them, and they build their own PC. It's a really lightweight interface here. Keyboard I brought, and the mouse has a little kickstand on it. And the Raspberry Pi fits in the little slot here, and got a full HD monitor. The whole device only cost about $190, something like that. And that's with the included with the Raspberry Pi and the keyboard and mouse. No, not bad at all. It's a fun project too. And this is what it looks like on the front side. And the way they designed this is kind of cool. I'll blow it up a little bit. What they do is they have these rails on the device. Have these rails. Here's a Raspberry Pi unit, and these metal rails. Raspberry Pi's got 4 holes. Then they've got these 4 magnets. And basically what happens is these rails serve as a magnetic rail with a Raspberry Pi. Here's a system board it comes with. It plugs into the monitor, has another USB. But you can fit in here, when they're done, they fit in here a speaker and a Pitop, which is a Pitop is a hack compatible device where you can plug in, like I said, LED lights, robots, manage your own in-house lights with it as well. A whole bunch of cool stuff. But it's all on rails. You just snap a component. But the cool thing about this project is the operating system. It's got a custom Pitop operating system built for these devices, which teaches students computers, but also teaches coding like Python. And see if I can click on the website real quick, and then we'll be done. Pitop.com, pi-top. Again, our UK. You even have laptop ones. The laptop's a little bit more expensive. I think total laptop costs about $260, but you build it yourself with the Raspberry Pi. Let me show you if I can desktop of the. Oh, there it is right there. So Pitop Coder here, and it has Pitop Universe down below. The Pitop Coder goes through 75 hours of teaching on Python, JavaScript, and then Pitop Universe goes over every component of a PC, how it's put together, and what you just did. But the total build time is only like 2 hours to do it. And here's some of the devices you can get for it. I've got this one here. It's a hack compatible LED. Then this here is a hack compatible, again, snaps on the grid, and you can put anything you want to on that one, whether it be camera, microphone, robot, and then speakers. I have 2 speakers on mine. So anyway, pitop.com, pi-top.com is definitely a site to check out. I'll probably offer in some more workshops next summer. So we had a lot of fun doing it though. And it's all push to education. And the Pitop OS you can even download. You don't have to buy one of the devices. You can download the Pitop OS, which is a nice OS. that again teaches kids coding from scratch using Python, and then Seed Universe is kind of a game platform of how a computer is built. So anyway, I go all day on Pitop. It's pretty cool company. It started out with 4 guys. They now have like 125 employees. And I'd like to go over there sometime just to visit their campus they have over there. And so that would be pretty awesome. Go to London and visit the Pitop organization.
Oh, yeah.
Just a whole bunch of geeks wanting to do what?
Do you think college sponsor?
Yeah, that's what I've asked about it, and so I'm asking the questions for sure. I think it'd be an awesome trip. It would be an awesome trip.
I go to RP.
How many want to go to London? There you go. Awesome. Yeah, these guys are great. There's a whole bunch of geeks who want to do cool stuff. And so anyway, that's it for tonight. Thursday, we'll meet in here initially. If that lab's open, like I said, we'll go over there. But more than likely, we'll meet in here Thursday. So, all right. How do you shut down?
No, like log out off.
Well, just so you know, these computers are on deep freeze like everywhere on campus. So the easiest way I always tell students in here is go to the upper left Apple. Go to the upper left Apple and just restart. That's what I did. Yeah, when you restart it, it's going to wipe everything out. Any system trace of you being on this machine is going to be wiped out when it restarts.